Once my product was ready, like any other hustler, basically got a PPT ready, took multiple photos of one product from different angles and got it together and made it into a PPT. So when I started that hustle on, it was a few days where I made random calls, spoke to multiple people, and one fine day I got a call back. This company called J Kumar, who's a very big infrastructure company.
How did engineering happen and why did you choose to become an engineer?
To be answering that question is kind of strange because I never wanted to do engineering. I never wanted to become an engineer. Okay. It was never on my cards. 4 years were great, to be honest, because I made a lot of good friends. I had great company. I was very close to my house. So there were times basically when...
used to come back home for lunch?
Yeah, it was literally like 5 minutes from home, right? So I used to find out, and a friend of mine used to message me that the lecture is started. That is when I used to leave my house.
Hi everyone, welcome back to a brand new episode of the MADtherapy Sessions podcast. Our guest for today is Zeeshan Thakur. Mr. Thakur has completed his production engineering from Mumbai. He is the founder and CEO of Thakur Cabins Private Limited, which is one of the leading manufacturers of luxury portable and prefab home and offices and more in India. The audio podcast is available on Spotify and Anchor. The links to that and the description down below. Drop a like if you like this video and consider subscribing if you end up loving it. And also don't forget to comment down below your thoughts on the podcast. Till then, enjoy the episode. So Mr. Thakur, you are the CEO and founder of Thakur Cabins. What exactly is Thakur Cabins?
So Thakur Cabins was started back in 2010.
Okay.
Where at a point basically where I was kind of aimless and I was really thinking hard in terms of what to start and what to do, as I always wanted to run a business of my own. And I was really brainstorming and wanting to know what could be futuristic,
right?
Instead of trying to work on something which is going to be present. Because of the things we knew and because we were a little more traveled, I obviously kind of knew that containers is something which is going to develop in the future. Right. Because portability is something which is very, very essential and very, very important, especially on sites where there is work going to be carried out. So, when that kind of happened and the idea struck, right. I basically just, put it down on paper, designed my first cabin, because I had an engineering background and design was my forte. And I was great with structural designs and design in terms of the overall concept. I got it out on paper, designed my first container and made it into a portable office.
Okay.
After my design was done, I got in my tools and tackles, got together people who would actually, manufacture it for me.
Right.
And I fabricated it. I got it together. I did the electricals. I did the interiors. I did the furniture. I colored it from outside. And that was the product which was kind of ready.
So how was the feedback for the first one?
So it was quite strange because when I developed the first one and I got it ready, it's not like I had an order, but I developed it.
Oh, so you had no order?
No, I had no order. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I want to know what I can build, and I want to know my product before I could sell it because that I always had that salesman kida in me, like you say, that you need to back your product. Right. So it was very important for me to know my product and before I could actually go out to the market to kind of sell it. So once my product was ready, I, like any other hustler, basically got a PPT ready, took multiple photos of one product from different angles and got it together and made it into a PPT.
Right.
Made random calls to developers and spoke to their purchase departments to kind of tell them that, I am a portable cabin manufacturer and I have a portable office, would you be interested in terms of procuring one? So when I started that hustle on, it was a few days where I made random calls, spoke to multiple people. And one fine day I got a call back, from a gentleman from this company called J Kumar, who's a very big infrastructure company. And he told me that I need something very urgently, so would you come and meet me? So, the next, I think maybe in an hour or something, I was already at his office and sat down with him and he gave me his requirement on paper. So when he basically told me what he wants, so he didn't want what I had already made. He had basically, he had a concept which he wanted to build and it was totally customized. He had basically approached 2 or 3 players who were already doing the same thing in Bombay.
Right.
And all of them had told him no, and that cannot be built. I saw the design. I had no idea about, what are the hardships going to be in terms of manufacturing that, and what are the issues going to be after I manufacture it when I need to actually transport it and send it to the site where he actually wants it. So I didn't think of all of that. I wanted my first order.
Yeah.
So I was kind of desperate. So when I said yes to him, he basically asked me for a quotation. I sent him a quotation, probably underquoted or whatever, because he told me yes before I could send him the quotation. And also he was in a hurry. So that was actually my first order. And when I developed it, I made it exactly as per his requirement. After the product was ready, I realized that, the size which I've built cannot be legally transported in the city or in the country.
Okay.
So I had to basically transport it in the middle of the night at 2 a.m. At that point, when I made it, I hardly had any staff on me. So I remember personally, I was at his site at 3 a.m, getting the container, his office offloaded by 2 hydras, put it onto his required site location, and I guess we were good to go, man. So that was my complete end-to-end solution to the first order I kind of got. And then things moved on after that.
So what was his feedback to you?
Oh, he was thrilled. He was very happy because I had put in everything. I had understood exactly what he wanted. I exactly customized it and made it the way he wanted it. And I guess after I delivered it to him, he was thrilled.
So what all comes under your portfolio of Thakur cabins? I mean, it's just cabins or much more? So
Thakur cabins, basically, obviously, I'm talking about the day I started, but it's been about 12 years in the journey from the time we began.
Yep.
So we've obviously put in a lot of more products, a lot of customizations, different clients have different requirements over the course of time. So we basically customize things as per the client's requirement. We started off with portable cabins, portable offices. With that basically came in portable toilets, which were also required on sites. With that came in basically portable storage containers, which were also required on different sites. With that basically, as the demand kind of grew, today developers basically have to build a sales office on site in terms of selling their, the inventory or selling their product or selling their building off. So earlier back in the day, they used to basically, they used to dig in, they used to do the foundations, they used to come up on the first floor and then make their offices.
Right.
So they could not really sell from site. So because of this concept of portable offices, we can actually customize and make very luxurious, either prefabricated or portable sales offices the moment they decide they want to start construction. So today the whole game is kind of changed, where an office comes on site first, a project office comes, a sales office comes, and that is when construction starts. So the developer, it's really beneficial for the developer because he starts selling on day one.
Right.
He doesn't have to wait for his first floor to get casted, then basically make a sales office in the first floor and then start selling. So he sells from day one. So from sales offices, right now we've also diversified towards sample flats. So like I said earlier, sales offices used to be made. That is where the sample flats also used to be made.
Right.
So it was a process of 1 year for a developer in order to build the sales office and sample flat. Today, basically, we build sales offices and sample flats on day one. So a developer can actually start selling immediately. So he has his sample flat ready, he has his sales office ready. Where it comes to interiors, based on the design and based on the actual kind of construction which a developer is actually going to build and sell, we customize and we build it as per his requirement. And they are good to go. They are happy. We are happy.
Got it. So how is the whole process like? Do your clients come up with their own customized ideas, or you have a set design and they can pick and choose from and then customize that, or they can customize right from the scratch?
So, honestly, when it comes to portability, there is no limitation.
Okay.
So that is why my tagline in my, to Thakur cabins is also portability redefined. So there's no limitation at all. When it comes to a client, basically, if he wants something, and we get a call that he wants something, the conversation starts with what do you want, how big do you want it, what is your requirement. If the client is kind of ready in terms of what he wants, so he already has a sketch ready,
right,
which he just sends it to us. We tell him how much that particular sketch is going to cost in terms of an office or whatever he needs. And we're good to go.
Right.
When a client is unclear in terms of what he actually wants, then we sketch it out, we design it based on his requirement. We plan the entire office, we plan whatever he kind of needs on paper. I do an entire 2D or a 3D, whatever the client needs. In terms, my design team looks into that, gets that ready, we forward it to the client. A client has the freedom to bring about whatever changes he wants based on whatever site requirements he has.
Right.
And once the design is frozen, the commercials and the technicals are kind of frozen, and we are good to go. So that's how it goes.
Because my next question was about your tagline, redefine portability.
Right.
So how different are your designs from the rest of the competition?
So I come up with a lot of innovation when it comes to designs. I do a lot of R&D. That's something which I'm passionate about, to be honest. So I do a lot of recce. I do a lot of things which are going on all around the world, because Bombay or India is not the only place where portability or porta cabins or container cabins are kind of happening.
Right.
I would probably say it's happening, in the Middle East and in Europe and in Australia and in Germany, probably in the last 30 years.
Right.
So it's come to India probably after 25 years, because everything in India comes to India after 25 years.
It's still a fairly new concept in India.
It is. Like I said, when I started, I hardly had any competition. And today there are a lot of players who are kind of, doing the same thing. I try to innovate new things in my portfolio in terms of what all can be done. I work very hard in terms of quality. I work very hard in terms of service to a client, because that is how you build clientele, and that is how a client is loyal to you. So when it comes to quality, when it comes to service, that's my forte in terms of trying to be there, satisfy what a guy wants. And if he's not happy, try to make him happy in terms of, bringing about whatever if he's kind of not happy in a particular way after the product is delivered.
Right.
And if he wants certain kind of changes, minute changes, certain finishings, because every client is different. Every client has a different way of looking at things. So, we make it a point in terms of sending a team over, getting it right, making him happy, and the relationship continues. Because the clients who I'm working with since the time I started are still stuck with us, and we're still working.
That's
so every
amazing.
day we're trying to build on new clients, because, requirements are buzzing all over. There are new people who need it. It's not like there's one particular client who needs it. There are multiple projects coming up in the country. There's a lot of infrastructure happening, and whenever anything of this sort is happening, portable cabins and offices and toilets and storage containers and all of these things are required on site, because especially in urban as well as rural areas. In fact, it's a lot more required in rural areas because there are no setups on site. So for a client, in order to wanting to get into civil construction, this becomes really convenient because it's portable. If he's done from one side, he picks it up and he takes it to the next one.
So, can those cabins be made out of sustainable materials, or is it? What's your take on that?
So, we basically manufacture a lot of materials. All the materials are eco-friendly. I manufacture in steel. That is how typically a container is originally made, which is steel.
Right.
So, I started manufacturing it in steel. Then there is another material which we manufacture, which is also known as cement fiber sheets and cement planks. So that basically gives you a wooden effect from the outside. It's more planks. So it gives you a rustic effect from the outside.
So is it lighter or no?
It is a little lighter than steel, and that can be painted and polished in a different way instead of regular painting which is done on a container.
So that might be a little more expensive.
It is a little more expensive as compared to steel. Steel is the cheapest option. Then basically there's another sustainable material which is aluminium composite panels, where if you know of it, there are a lot of buildings today which are made in ACP. A lot of facades are made in ACP.
Right.
So that's one material we basically manufacture with, and that itself is a very long and sustainable material because it doesn't require any kind of painting.
Right.
It's self-embossed on aluminium, so that is the most expensive, but it's the most long-lasting. It looks very cool, looks very nice. It has multiple colors, so a client can choose whatever he wants, and we can build in that.
So how do you keep upgrading your designs and manufacture? Do you keep going to different, like you said, different cities, knowing what is new, or going to conferences? How do you keep upgrading yourself and Thakur Cabins?
So what has really taught me in terms of upgrade is demand. So I land up working with a lot of architects because a lot of developers and clients have in-house architects. So I work with a lot of architects. So when you work with a lot of architects, you learn a lot.
Right.
You get to learn a lot. They probably learn a few things. I probably learn more than what they learn. and I try to grasp as much as I can, especially when it comes to interiors, when it comes to exteriors, because there's so many ideas which come along. I do a lot of recce and R&D on new materials which have come into the market, and keep thinking and brainstorming in terms of what else I can build out of.
Right.
Because a lot of people want different things on their side. Some people are very happy with the way a container kind of looks,
Right.
and are very happy with the conventional way of a container looking and want it in their desired shape and size. But a lot of people want different things, or want a lot of people want a little bit of an upgrade, like you say, want the cool effect.
Right.
Even if it's a portable cabin or a portable office which they have on site, they want a cool effect.
Right.
They want it to look in a certain way, and they put it across in terms of what different can be done. So when that question comes forward and what different can be done, so that is where we bring in our expertise and try to do different things. So every new design we manufacture for a client, becomes a different design in our portfolio.
So it becomes more personal. Everyone wants their portable cabin to be special.
Absolutely.
So, I was researching on it, and I was wondering if solar energy can be used to harness to, power on the cabins. What do you think about that?
So it's a fabulous idea, because it completely becomes self-sustainable. So there are a lot of clients basically, who put in solar panels on the containers that supply to them.
Okay.
Who don't want to really have an electrical connection and basically pay electricity bills. So they have put in solar panels on containers, especially when it comes to homes.
Okay.
So we are doing a lot of prefabricated and portable container homes especially for a lot of clients who have a lot of land, and becomes very difficult for people to build on it. So this becomes a very easy option, because we become a one-stop solution.
Right.
So, when they come forward and want to build homes, so we have ready designs, or basically we design with the client based on his requirement. And that is when a lot of solar panels come into role play.
Right.
So because when it comes to self-sustainable homes and farmhouses, so they have solar panels built on their containers, and it becomes self-sustainable for them. So it's no rocket science. It's an easy process.
And I think for rural India or tier 2, tier 3 cities, it might be a game changer.
It is completely, because we are doing a lot of supply to tier 2 and tier 3. And also tier 2, tier 3 cities, are the cities which have the maximum money today. Right. So there's a lot of development happening.
Right.
And especially like places like Surat and places like Aurangabad and Amravati and, Nagpur. We are supplying a lot of cabins to these places, and people are doing great work there.
Yeah. So what's your personal, favorite work out of all the designs and cabins you have made? Something which you made and it, satisfied you.
So to start with, what satisfies me is when I freeze an order.
Okay.
That's the most satisfying feeling I get when I'm working on
every order.
Yeah, no. I mean, I have a sales team who works for me now, but I'm talking in terms of I do a lot of sales myself, because a lot of clients deal with me and like to call me and discuss things with me and freeze things with me.
Right.
And my sales team have their own clients, who they work with.
Right.
So in that process, basically, I'm typically a salesman. That's something I'm very passionate about. So I love selling. Could be any product, to be honest, but I love selling what I do. So the most satisfying feeling for me is selling my own product. And after multiple rounds, or some things are frozen on the spot, or some things take a while, especially when there are big orders and a lot of customization goes in it. So it's a process. There's a commercial team, there's a technical team, and after you surpass all of that, by the end of it, everything comes down to rates. So when you freeze something, it becomes a win-win for the client and us.
And you, yeah.
So that becomes gives me a very happy feeling, to be honest. And then the whole process begins, because the actual work actually starts after you get the orders.
But any one particular cabin you made or design which was your personal favorite?
So personal favorite, I mean, there are loads like that, because we've done a lot of cool work. We've done a lot of cool sales offices. We've done a lot of cool container homes. There was a friend of mine who I built a container home for at Kamshed, and that experience, he was brilliant according to me, because I don't think he's an architect, but he has a mind of an architect. He's great with his skills. So when I was actually planning the whole thing with him and building it with him, it was a great experience. It was a great learning experience. And that was the first home I built in terms of prefabricated container home. Yeah, it's a holiday home which we built for him. So that process was very satisfying.
So the thing you're doing right now, I mean, the whole portable cabin thing, it's quite unique. So how important was the role of your family and your parents, and because you need support,
Correct.
in some way. So, how important was it for you?
So when I began, I was already working with my father. So just to go back a little bit, I completed my engineering in 2009, and my father basically was running a ship repairing company. My original company was called Thakur Engineering Works, and he basically was into ship repairing. So when I joined the company, I started working with him. And I started running around the way he used to run around and do his work. So I obviously tried to inculcate what was existingly happening, because it's very difficult to bring about changes, in an existing setup which has been there for the last 30, 40 years.
True.
So I started working with him. I think we worked for about 6 to 8 months or 10 months, and I was totally dissatisfied because I didn't enjoy the work, which everything to it. I didn't enjoy. There was nothing innovative in that. I wasn't enjoying what he was kind of doing, which wasn't his problem. I wasn't enjoying it. So that is when the idea kind of struck that I want to do something different. And when I went through this process of exploring, containers, so I obviously had the entire backing of my dad and my mom. More dad, I would say, because I was working with him, and he was totally in it because, I don't think he would have had a problem for it if there is something new which is coming along in the family in terms of work. So I think it was a great idea. He agreed with that. And that is how the journey began.
Because it's something new and you need people to believe in you, your product and everything.
Right.
And it starts with family.
Correct.
If they believe in you, it just makes it a little easier for you.
Absolutely. So just like to go a little forward. So when we started this, my father obviously was in it with me from day one. And gradually his existing business which he was doing, in terms of ship repairing, he kind of shut it down because I guess he also realized that he was bored of it and he didn't want to continue that. So now basically we both are a part of Thakur Cabins.
Wow. So looking back in your short journey of yours,
Right.
let's say like 12 years now,
Right.
how has been the journey according to you?
Obviously ups and downs, like any industry or any product which you're selling. I think you build and you learn every day, because no one is a genius today. And if you feel that you know everything, probably that should be the last day of your life. So when it came to progressing, I always had a very progressive mind and always had the vision and the wisdom to kind of just move forward and keep building and keep working and keep building and keep working. So that's always been my forte till today. I feel when it comes to a product driven business, it only depends on how much you can sell.
Right.
And when you can sell, you always figure a way out in terms of how you can build. So it's the other way around. You don't decide on how you want to build and then start selling. You try to sell, and when things come along and you actually people believe in you and you actually start getting orders,
Right.
You figure a way out in terms of how to kind of build and how to expertise that process in terms of basically giving deliveries on time, and you figure it out on the way. So there's no learning or there's no process in terms of how to learn. I think experience is the best process for anybody, and that actually happens with time. No matter how much you can study on things,
Right.
but when you're on the field in actual business, that is the process where you actually learn and you actually move forward, I guess.
Got it. So what's next for Thakur Cabins? Where do you want to take it? What's your vision for it?
So my vision is great when it comes to Thakur Cabins. Now, because we are in the industry in the last 12 years, so we have we've built a certain community, a certain clientele, who we are working with. We are obviously trying to match the demand. We are trying to work as much as we can. We are trying to fulfill as many orders as we can. And we bring in a lot of work.
Right.
We bring in a lot of work. I'm satisfied with the way we are working, but I obviously want to do more.
Right.
Probably in the next 10 years, I would want to basically build this, maybe 5x or 10x, in terms of numbers, like what you say, if that is what you mean, in terms of where I want to take this. So I would like to build the business and build it even further down to a 10x in terms of sales and in terms of quality and in terms of market share, to be honest. And I think probably that'll be great. Keep innovating new products, keep getting in, building on new clients, keep fulfilling new orders, fulfilling new requirements. trying to work with new and better people.
Right.
I think that itself is very satisfying. Like the entire process, if you ask me, I'm very satisfied with the work I do. When it comes to numbers, if you're a true salesman, you'll try to match your numbers and you'll try to match your own targets which you've set. So if you start doing that, and if you start tick marking in terms of what you've set, that itself becomes satisfactory.
Right. So the immediate goal is quality or quantity for you right now?
Immediate goal for me is quality and quantity.
Okay.
Because quality is something, which should not differ at all, in terms of what you have quoted for and what you have promised
Right.
to a client. He should get. And he should be satisfied. And if he's not, then make him satisfied. So if you do that, that itself is a trick in terms of getting that person back to you, for the next one.
So you mentioned you work with your father, in Thakur works.
Right.
So we were working with your father and your grandfather. So
Correct.
what lessons did you learn while working? Because those may be your initial years after passing out.
Got it.
So at that time, like, when you look back, what lessons did you learn? What to do, what not to do? I mean, if you can...
So honestly, the lessons I kind of learned were that work smart with working hard.
Okay.
All right. That was the most important thing to kind of learn. So in order to, another very important thing which I kind of learned with time is what not to do.
Okay.
As compared to what to do.
Yeah.
What to do, but what not to do, if you know, I think you win that battle there. So you don't make mistakes. And you actually reduce the amount of things, which you could do and you shouldn't. So that's something which has obviously helped me a lot in terms of, because mistakes is something which everybody makes. At times you overcommit. At times you say something which is impossible.
Right.
Or you commit on something where, okay, fine, and somebody basically asks you that, okay, I need so-and-so thing. Just in terms of getting the client in, you tell him, okay, fine, I'm going to deliver this in 2 days.
Right.
But 2 days becomes 5 days and the client is angry. So that is something which you shouldn't do, according to me as a rule. It's best to be honest and be clear in terms of how many days it is going to take, even if he doesn't want to give you work and if it's very urgent for him, because you're playing around with him then.
Right.
He's already paid you a certain amount of money in terms of wanting your product, and then basically you play with him and increase the number of days. So that is kind of wrong.
Right.
I like the way Amazon works, where he tells you it's going to be delivered in 4 days and the product is delivered in 4 days.
Right.
So that is how you believe in Amazon and you go back to Amazon in terms of for your online shopping. Because if that never happened, for example, there wouldn't be an Amazon today.
Right. True. So, like, you have worked professionally with your family.
Right.
And that can be tricky sometimes.
Of course.
Because you have to go back after your work.
To the same house.
Home. Yeah.
Right.
So, I'm sure there must be ups and downs. So, how did you deal with it?
So luckily, basically, my father was very cooperative, when it came to work, and that's one thing which is brilliant about him. So we never get work home. Whatever happens at work. I don't think we discuss work at home at all.
Okay.
We don't only because I don't think we meet also in the house. We probably eat or dinner together. And my father is a very early sleeper,
Right.
So he lives a certain routine. So after 9:30, you don't see him at all. And I probably come back home from work at about 7:30, 8, at times 8:30, 9. So we don't really interact in the house. We meet up again the next morning and we are back at work.
True.
So the interaction of work happens at work, and at home there is no interaction when it comes to work. So that is how things are kind of balanced.
Right. That's a good way of, balancing it out.
Yeah.
So, we go all the way back to your engineering days. Why, you chose to become an engineer. How did engineering happen, and why did you choose to become an engineer?
Oh, so that's honestly, to be answering that question is kind of strange, because I never wanted to do engineering. I never wanted to become an engineer.
Okay.
It was never on my cards. I was damn good in finance and accounting. That was my forte when I was in school. I maxed my subjects when it came to maths and accounting in school.
Okay.
The only reason I took science was because I got a very good result in my 10th standard. And that drove me towards getting into science, because I got admission free of cost and didn't have to pay any kind of donations. So when I got into science and I got done with my science, my father basically wanted me to continue the marine engineering business which he was in.
Right.
So he put me into engineering in marine. He suggested that I do marine engineering. I got into a marine engineering college to do marine engineering for a year, and that was a disaster, because I had to live in a hostel in Bombay in a marine engineering college. which I kind of understood was going to be brilliant because I'm going to stay away from family. But that and friends, and the college promised me that every weekend I would be allowed to go home. But that wasn't true. I had to be in college. I had to stay there. I had to live there on the weekends also. So I did a lot of nonsense in that college because I kept running away. Every weekend, the weekend used to hit and I used to probably escape from college and run away and go home and then face the consequences when I used to come back on Monday morning. And I wouldn't care about the consequences also. Whatever would happen, would happen. So that was the attitude. I probably struggled in that college very badly. And probably, I don't know what I hit. I probably hit I was in a bad mental state. I decided I want to quit. So I quit that. Then basically I realized that now what do I do? Because I was in no college. I didn't know what to do. I was thinking very hard. I had no direction. So at that point, basically, my parents again sat me down and told me to get back into engineering and to do, mechanical and production engineering.
Okay.
And I basically, there were a few options, and Bombay anyways has very limited engineering colleges, and all the engineering colleges are in the suburbs. And there was only one college which was in town, which was very close to my house, called Sabut Siddique College of Engineering, which had production engineering. So in my mind, I decided that if I have to get back into engineering, I want to go to a college which is going to be 5 minutes from my house. And the condition was if I get into this college, I will do engineering. Otherwise, I won't do engineering. So I somehow managed to get into college. And once I got into engineering, then it was a matter of ego that I want to pass off with flying colors and do my best.
But did you research about product engineering before you joined? Or
No, of course. So I didn't do a product engineering. I did production engineering.
Production, I'm sorry.
Right. Yeah. So that is like a brother sister of mechanical engineering.
Okay.
It was very similar to mechanical engineering, has the same subjects and had a lot of design. So that is something I really enjoyed. Design was something I really enjoyed when I was in engineering also, because I did a lot of design for a lot of friends and I used to do all of their works, whatever assignments were kind of given to us. I used to do the designs and they used to do the writing for me. So we used to switch works like that. So I really loved the design angle when it came to production engineering. And then it was a matter of ego, man, because I really wanted to basically pass with flying colors.
Right.
I used to compete with myself. And when it came to exams, I used to work very hard. And I probably did very well according to whatever I scored.
So how was the whole, those 4 years? How was the experience?
4 years were great, to be honest, because I made a lot of good friends. I had great company. I was very close to my house. So there were times basically when...
used to come back home for lunch?
Yeah, it was literally like 5 minutes from home, right? So I used to find out, and a friend of mine used to message me that the lecture is started. That is when I used to leave my house. Because at times the teacher never used to come or whatever. And also when you go to college, you get ready, go to college, and if the lecture is free, you get bored. Especially early in the morning at 7:30 and 8 o'clock, where do you go? So I used to wait till I get a message from college, and when the teacher used to walk in, that's when I used to leave the house, enter 10 minutes late, but I used to manage. Yeah. Home was closed, so whenever I was done or wherever I wanted to bunk or whenever I wanted to bounce, I had the freedom to do so.
Are there any things you wish, like when you look back now, are there any things which you wish you should have done more of in your college? During engineering days? I
think when it came to engineering, when it came to college or engineering, I think I probably did everything, whatever was kind of required. Right. I don't see myself going back and changing anything. Because I guess I studied when I had to, I had fun when I had to, I used to go out when I had to, I used to party when I had to.
Right.
I had a great social circle, I had great friends. So that is something I always kept going. Because I remember even during examinations, examination probably you had like 6 subjects or 7 subjects in every semester. And after every exam, I used to have a 3-day break or a 4-day break. So my close friends basically knew my entire routine of exams. They knew when my exam is there today. Probably they knew subjects also, I'm not sure. And when they knew the day my exam is getting over, that particular subject is getting over in the evening, there used to be a party plan. I used to party very hard that night.
Right.
And then I used to focus and study very hard for the next 3 days and go for my next paper. So that is how I completed my engineering with a lot of fun. I never had a problem or there was never a struggle because I enjoyed those days in terms of studying when I had to, partying when I had to, going out when I had to. I was involved with a lot of festivals which used to probably happen in college at that point.
Right.
I remember it was a college which never had a fashion show and all of that jazz. And I actually organized and I made sure that a fashion show kind of happens, and we participated in a fashion show and also participated in multiple other colleges and did that whole number. So, I mean, it was a lot of fun, yeah. I mean, overall experience was great, according to me.
So, if you can tell us in brief, what exactly happens in, production engineering?
So, like I said, production engineering is very similar to mechanical engineering. So, I'll give you a synopsis. So, first year when it comes to engineering, for example, all the subjects are common.
Okay.
For all different fields of engineering. You have electronic engineering, you have IT, which is information technology, you have computers, which is software engineering, you have mechanical production. So all subjects are common. And from the second year onwards, you start specializing in the field you have chosen.
Right.
So when it comes to production or mechanical engineering, I mean, there were subjects like design, there was a lot of maths, there was a lot of physics. So there were all of these subjects which were kind of involved. And I used to love design, like I told you, and that was something, which I was passionate about.
Right.
So because I used to enjoy engineering designs, that is when it became very easier for me to adapt into building offices, building homes, designing offices, designing homes, space management, especially, where you have a block plan and you actually want to know how many people you can accommodate, in a particular office.
Right.
When you have a smaller space, but a client basically wants to put in 20 people. So how do you manage to kind of do that is basically, is all about design. So that is something, which continued with me, and obviously with a lot of more practice and practicality, I started excelling in it.
Right. Any one high point and one low point in your engineering college days, if you can share with us? Academically, it can.
All right, so I'll give you an example. So I have always been a very naughty child right from school. I was a brat. Always been like that. And I don't know, always, took up to challenges and was up to a lot of masti when it came to school, college and everything. So there were probably one or two incidents, which happened during my engineering college which were damn funny. So I'll share it with you. So there was a point where I remember, I think probably in the third semester or the fourth semester, we had exams. We got done with the exams and we moved to the next semester. From the second year of engineering, I moved to the third year of engineering.
Got it.
All right. And I remember there was one particular subject which was continued in the next semester. So we had the same teacher who taught us in the previous semester who came to the next semester again. And it was the first day. And when we sat down, so the teacher was in a very good mood, and she basically asked that how many students have failed in the last semester in her subject.
Right.
So she wanted to insult everybody. I don't know what mood she was in. So whoever kind of failed basically stood.
Yeah.
And all of them kind of obviously who failed were also embarrassed, and they all kind of stood, and then basically they kind of sat down. And I, at that point, was, screwing around with something, or was talking to someone and was playing around, or I was doing some masti at that point. And the teacher basically, I grabbed her attention strangely at that point, and she told me, get up and get out. And I said, I'm I tried to apologize, but she told me, get up and get out. What are you doing? What do you think who you are? And whatever. And she told me to get out. So I remember this is what I heard from my friends back in class. So when I got up and I walked out, the next question she wanted to ask the class was that who got the highest in the previous semester. So in her subject, who topped in her particular subject in the whole production engineering division. So, whoever kind of knew, raised their hands and told me, ma'am, the guy who you kicked out of class. So that was because the sabbatical and what my friends explained to me, her face just changed. She turned around, there were no more questions, and she started teaching. So when I heard that, it was a high point for me because I continued the way I wanted to be.
Right.
But when it came to probably doing, whatever had to be done, the job was done.
That will stay on with you,
Exactly. So that was damn funny. And another funny story during engineering is, so that this is something which I don't understand, which happens everywhere universally, especially in India and engineering colleges, is people give a lot of assignments. Like every subject, there are some 100 pages of assignments which people have to write. Right. I don't understand why they're writing it, because no one is learning from them.
The system has been made like that.
No, so no one is learning from them.
Right.
So the funny part is that you are telling the students to waste your time in writing those assignments.
True.
Everyone is copying the assignment from one student, the whole class of 60 students. So only the first student who's written it probably knows what she's writing.
Right.
The other 59 are only copying from that first one.
Understood.
The teachers who are getting the assignments don't really care what the student has written.
They don't even check.
So they don't even check, So a student is basically wasting his college time, where probably whenever he has to study, he'll study. But when he has free time, he's writing assignments.
But
So that is kind of damn, I would say, pissing off, for anyone. So that was traumatic, when it came to writing assignments. So the funny flip side to this was is that so I had this house help, who used to live with me, who used to probably cook in my house. And she obviously knew how to write. She knew how to write English because she was also studying. She was doing night school.
Right.
So I used to make her write my assignments. Then I had a very close friend of mine who used to write assignments for me, and I used to do his drawings. I had another friend of mine who used to basically do a favor on me by writing assignments because I guess that friend of mine used to love me a lot, I think. So all the assignments were taken care of by different people. So I remember there were when I went for the submission of my assignments to this one particular tutor, and he saw me. He went through the pages. So one particular assignment, which had probably 100 pages, were written by 4 different people. So the first 25 pages had a different handwriting, the next 25 had a different, and I also never realized that this actually happened in that particular assignment. So I remember you sitting with me, and he told me, "So who has written this?" And me being honest with what I was. So I basically told me, "Sir, my house help has written this assignment for me." So he said, "Okay." Then he flipped another 25 pages and he told me, "Who's written this?" So that is when I got a little shocked, like, oh my god, like what the hell happened? Because I never bothered to go through my assignments also.
Right.
I just submitted it. Then I was trying to wonder who's written what. So he realized that 4 different people have written this particular assignment for me. He just passed me because probably he liked me, gave me a D, and he told me get out. So these memories only happen in engineering colleges,
right.
And it is damn funny because they stay with you for life.
True.
And there are a lot of more, I guess. I can't really think of anything right now, but there are lots.
I think that's for a different podcast, like
Yeah.
your engineering memories. So, in any point where you felt low during your engineering days?
Honestly, I never felt low during the 4 years of engineering. I don't know. I didn't feel low at all. I mean, because it went like a breeze. I was very clear and I wanted to basically do this. I wanted to pass well. I wanted to study hard before my exams, and I wanted to do well in engineering. I was aiming for a first class. So I had things which I wanted to do. So I used to work very hard whenever required. So I never had a low point only. I mean, never had a low point in that entire process.
Got it. So what will your advice be for, students who are doing, bachelor's in production engineering right now, or they plan to do it in the future? So what would your advice be for them?
So my advice for any student who's getting into engineering or is doing engineering would be very simple. Okay, don't try to pass.
Okay.
Try to understand what you're studying. Try to have a vision that what you're going to do after studying what you're doing. Don't try to muck things up and just sit there and kind of give your exams and pass and move to the next class, because that is not what is going to help you.
Right.
People kind of do that in school, and then move into college. It's very important to understand things. I don't know whether you saw that movie back in the day, was 3 Idiots, where by the end of it, the whole moral of the story of that entire movie was for an engineering student or any student who's kind of studying कामयाब बन काबिल बन जो भी तू कर रहा है उसमें काबिल बन, कामयाबी झक मार के तेरे पीछे आएगी.
बराबर.
So success is obviously going to entirely rely on your agenda and your persistence and your perseverance in terms of what you want to do, how well you understand what you do. And if you are a master of your craft, success is going to come to you. People are going to come to you, to work with you, to associate with you because you're good at what you do.
So it's true. You are a prime example of that.
Yeah, I mean, this is what I understand, with so many years of working. So you believe in
that and you've done that and you are seeing the,
Yeah, exactly. That is what I'm talking with experience. I'm talking with, what I do in my work, and I'm looking at that as a benchmark.
Right.
And I'm talking on that front that if you are very serious about your work and if you basically become the master of your craft, people will want to associate with you. and obviously having a humble nature and believing in teamwork. Because I feel nothing can happen without a team.
Right.
One solo human being cannot do anything. Probably he can't even, the only thing he can do alone is have a bath and go to the bathroom. Because that is something you do alone. Other than that, everything requires teamwork. Any business requires teamwork. So there is teamwork. So I feel it's very important to respect your team. It's very important to respect the people who are associated and working with you, whether it comes to vendors, whether it comes to clients,
Right.
whether it comes to people who are working in your office. So forming a community, is very, very important for the loyalty of people to be with you. So I feel that is very, very important.
So are you like happy of your decision of becoming an engineer right now?
Happy in the sense, it has helped me in the work. I was fortunate to pick this up. Because these things, happen with destiny. I mean, these things are never planned.
Right.
I never planned of starting a portable cabin business. That kind of happened at that point. It started picking up, it did well, it moved on, and I've stuck by it. It's been 12 years.
Right.
And I want to continue it. I don't want to stop this. So that's obviously destiny. It kind of picked up. I got the support. There was work at that time and there was demand. That is when a newbie basically got work. So destiny plays a very important role when it comes to this.
True.
And when it comes to, what is your question? I forgot.
Like, are you happy of your decision? When you look back, are you happy with your decision of
Becoming an engineer?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. So like I said, because I did my production engineering and I worked on designs, so that really played a very important role for me in terms of applying that in my existing work.
Got it.
From day one.
Got it.
And that was something I was passionate about. That was something I knew. So I understood engineering designs. I understood structural designs.
Right.
So I understood sectional designs. So all those things became very easy and I could apply it in my work because my work requires all of these things. So yes, I mean, it would be foolish to do medicine and run a portable cabin business. So doing engineering and running a business like that probably went hand in hand.
Any particular reason why you chose not to do masters in your field? Or you wanted to?
No, maybe I wanted to at that point when I got done in the engineering. My mother really was behind my life in terms of doing masters. But I guess, I got into work probably the next day after I got done in the engineering and then never looked back. So once you get into business and you start hustling on a daily basis, there are responsibilities which come on you. And then there is no time to do anything else. So then that is how the master plan dropped. Otherwise, with as a plan, after engineering, masters was the next step.
Right. Speaking about your college days, you were very active in sports. Your school days, your college days. Can you share something about that?
Oh, I would love to. I love playing.
You still play?
I do. So I play a lot of cricket. Probably till about 4 or 5 years back, I was still playing season matches.
Okay.
I used to. I was very passionate about cricket. I participated in every sport when I was in school. I was very passionate about cricket to be particular. I used to go for a lot of coaching. I represented Bombay also. I think under 14 when I was in the 7th standard or something.
Amazing. Yeah.
And it was I was really passionate. I used to buy my dad used to support me a lot in terms of buying the best equipment for the game.
You're good at it.
I was very good at that and I used to play at school level and then I used to go for coaching. Like I told you, I played for Bombay level. So at that point, yes, at that point, I maybe wanted to become a cricketer also.
Wow.
But, maybe I was not focused enough in terms of taking that forward.
Right.
Different things came along in different ways. Probably it was lack of focus because I feel if I had really focused very hard, I could have probably, gone somewhere with that. There were a lot of opportunities. And I was never a gully cricketer. Gully cricketer I've become today. Like today I play underarm tennis cricket and whatever just to keep it light and to stay fit.
You are playing professionally.
I was playing professional cricket. I was playing proper season cricket till about 5 or 6 years back. And this season cricket normally happens only on weekends and on a Sunday. It's all friendly cricket, but it happens on a Sunday. Now, life is such that the only time you get is on a Sunday, where you spend with family. So I've stopped playing that also. And I play once a week or once in 2 weeks. I meet up with friends and I play underarm tennis cricket now. There are these AstroTurf fields.
Do you miss it?
Maybe, yeah, of course. But there's a time for everything, I guess. I mean, you can't keep playing because there are different responsibilities.
Is there any chance in the future where you can combine your love for cricket and your portable cabin? I mean, is there any way?
I don't know. I don't see any link between the two. Cricket is cricket. This business is very different.
Like during sporting tournaments, you can have your containers or cabins, during sporting.
No, that is something, which we supply a lot of cabins to sporting arenas anyways. Yeah. I mean, there's nothing to do with the game. Whoever wants it, I'll give it to you. If you want it, I'll give it to you. So it does not matter to me. Whoever wants it and whoever wants to buy it from me, I'm very happy to give it to them. So that doesn't really matter. So there's no connection between the two, but a lot of sporting arenas, today, the sporting arenas which have come in the country are loads. And there are a lot of companies who are running these AstroTurf companies, who have multiple AstroTurf setups and who give it out on rent for football and cricket.
Right.
All of these facilities require toilets. All of these facilities require changing rooms. So that is something I supply to a lot of these people in the city and around the city.
So you have been active till now, So how important you think is the role, of being active in your daily life?
I think it's very important to be active. I think it's a stress buster. I take it as a stress buster. I work out regularly. I basically, I've always worked out, to be honest. There is a very dull patch at times where 1-2 months maybe I'm probably a little slack and I don't work out. But workout is a part of my lifestyle.
Right.
So that is something I always do whenever I do it. I'll try to maybe work out 3 times a week, 4 times a week, whenever I get time. So that activeness is very important just to stay mentally fit. It's not about the body, but it's about staying mentally fit because with the kind of lifestyles we live, there is stress in every corner. I feel today when you drive from one place to another place, there is stress, with the kind of signals and the kind of traffic you have on the road. So, and in that, basically, if you're driving and if you get phone calls, you're talking on the phone, you're driving, and there's a lot of stress here because there is no, the system in this country in terms of work, is very different as compared to working abroad.
The work-life balance.
No, I'm just saying the system. Yeah. The system is very different. So as a business owner, for example, there are a lot of stresses an owner has to kind of go through,
right?
On a day-to-day life. So, and mixing it with family life and balancing it with work life and overall, I mean, you say now you can't do everything in life. Everything cannot be done in life. So probably wherever you are, enjoy that moment.
Right.
So right now I'm enjoying doing this, for example. So that is how it goes. Yeah. I mean,
and
you kind of mix it.
Do you follow any particular diet or there's nothing like that?
Diet, not really. I mean, I've never taken any nutritional tips from any nutritionist, to be precise. But when it comes to, I try to eat minimal when I'm not working out. Okay. When I'm working out, I eat regular food because I feel throughout in your daily lifestyle, it's very important to kind of eat. And I feel hungry 3-4 times a day.
Right.
So I eat normal food. Whenever I'm not working out in that phase, I try to eat a little lesser than what I normally eat.
Right.
So that you don't put on a lot of weight or whatever because it's very difficult to lose it then. So you rather maintain yourself and stay, like I said, staying mentally fit, for example, is kind of very, very important. And I guess you work on it, man, every day. It's an workout is something which I feel should be a lifestyle for every human being.
Right. It's an everyday
no matter what the person is doing, whether he's playing a sport, whether he's running, whether he's walking, whether he's swimming, whether he's working out, whether he's doing whatever.
Right. So it's like an everyday thing.
Absolutely.
So, continuing your journey as an entrepreneur also, what do you think is, I mean, you are an investor in a few things. Can you share something about that, your entrepreneurship?
Was something wrong with this?
No, that's perfect.
That's fine?
Yeah.
Okay. So, you're just saying basically share a few tips or
no? So
what are you saying?
I mean, you have been, an investor in a few startups and, say like you were talking about the restaurant.
No, I mean, it's not about startups, for example. There are a lot of things which I tried to do in the middle.
Okay.
I mean, everything as a business owner, at times you get a lot of opportunities which come your way, which are a little different from what you're kind of doing.
True.
So I have swayed away, for example. So, there are multiple things which we there is another company of mine called TC Power,
okay,
where we give power generators on rent. we have another wing where we also give portable cabins on rent. So we have an entire rental wing in our parent company. We give a lot of portable toilets, portable offices, storage containers, generators on rent. So that's an entire rental wing. So that is something I started in about 2016. Then basically, simultaneously, we also me and three of my friends and brothers, cousins and friends, basically we got together and we're doing a development project in Alibag.
Okay.
So that is something also which we started in 2016 or 17.
Okay.
It's taken a little longer than what was kind of expected for whatever multiple reasons. So yeah, man. So that is something you keep on kind of doing. Our latest ventures basically, so my wife is from the hospitality industry.
Okay.
And she back in the day had started a restaurant which was doing very well, and she started that I think in 2016. Okay. It was called Hideout back in the day. So that was something I think that shut down last year because the place which she was running it at had to be given off. And then she decided to start another restaurant. So she was kind of brainstorming and she came up with the idea of starting another restaurant, which is already on the floor. In fact, we launched the restaurant last week. It's called Tab.
It's located in?
It's located at Phoenix Mills at Lower Parel. Okay. It's called Tab, the American Bistronomy. Okay. And so it's a great association because we have celebrity chef Ajay Chopra, who's basically a part of the project, so he's a consultant on board and is backing the entire project. And my wife is totally passionate about hospitality. So I'm with her in that too. I'm trying to, do whatever I can do in terms of getting that started and kicking it off. So I love working, to be honest. Whatever kind of work, which comes my way, I like to give it my best shot. Right. Try to do whatever I can do in terms of making it right. So I have that kida when it comes to work, so I'm hungry for work. But I've realized one thing. A very wise man told me once that, instead of being jack of all and master of, instead of being jack of all, master of none, it's very important to be master of one. So even if you own a pan bidi ka dukan, try to be the best pan bidi wala out there. Right. In the location where you're at. So that is something I've kind of learned, So my focus today is majorly Thakur cabins, which I'm really focusing on and trying to really take that up. And I'm actually seeing the difference where you're totally all in and things automatically shape up, because I feel, the moment you focus on something which is very, very important to you, because Thakur cabins, like you said, is my baby, we started that, like I said, sorry. And so my entire focus and my passion is towards that. And whatever kind of comes your way, in the journey, whether in terms of other associations, you try to do as much as you can. Right. In terms of either kickstarting it or giving it time and pulling it off and taking it to the next level.
So Thakur Cabins is like a startup for you.
Was a startup. Yeah. I don't think it's a startup anymore because it's been 12 years.
So what will your tips be for anyone who wants to have their own startup? What mistakes have you learned and what advice can you give them when they plan to start their own firm or any startup of their own?
So, firstly, I would say that never have two minds about what you want to do. For example, if you've decided you want to start something, just go for it. Just go for it. Because you won't know everything on day one. You'll never know everything. Because if you're a startup, you're new. If you're not experienced, you're new. Right. If you're something you've just started and you're a young guy, so you're kind of new. Right. So that is something, firstly, is, just go for it. Whatever you kind of know, and if you have somebody backing you, or if you have a senior person backing you, try to learn as much as you can from somebody who's kind of senior to you. Try to rope a partner with you. All right. So work is kind of work is kind of distributed. Because I really feel that teamwork plays a very important role. It's like united we stand, divided we fall. Right. So teamwork is very, 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 very important for the growth of any business. So to start with, if you have a great team, form a good team. Try to be as economical when it comes to spendings, especially at the start of your career, especially at the start of a business. Try to have minimal expenses. Right. Try to have maximum outcome with minimal expenses. maybe you might have to take a little bit of a hit, initially. You might have to basically lose money initially, but don't lose hope, because, after you lose a little money also, have a plan in terms of how to recover that money and how to grow the business. Because to do anything, there has to be a little investment which goes in on it. It's very difficult or very rare to start something without putting in anything.
Right.
And that goes in every field, in everything. Whether it comes to whether someone is actually becoming a doctor or someone is doing something else.
Right. I mean, that's wonderful, because you have, you had this concept, what you learned in college, you tried to implement that and do a startup, you struggled it out, you did, and then now you have diverted that into many, like you have branched it out from...
Because, in my own field, I've tried to branch into 2 or 3 different things. So there is revenue and there is income from everywhere. And so if something doesn't work very well, the other thing kind of balances it. So that's what I also believed in. So try to maximize whatever you can in the profession you're in.
Yeah.
Just try to maximize whatever you can.
Yeah, and you took a leap of faith. You had believed that it will work.
Right.
And it's a success right now.
Yeah, I mean, things are flowing well. I mean, I've never had a patch where there is no work. I mean, work has always been there, touch wood, and we keep working hard and we keep getting more work.
And it's going to increase.
It is, hopefully, because if infrastructure and demand is increasing, you ought to get, more work which is coming your way.
Right. So we come to a last section, which is a rapid fire section.
Oh, wow.
Where I ask you a few questions. And
I watch a lot of Coffee with Karan. This is funny.
So you have to answer as fast as possible.
Okay.
So we start.
Sure.
Your favorite pastime activity when you're not working?
Dreaming.
Dreaming. Okay. Best advice you have received?
A happy wife is a happy life.
Okay. Your favorite restaurant in Bombay?
So, favorite restaurant, all-time favorite, I would say, is Royal China.
Okay.
Which is located at Fort, and there's one at Bandra now. And like I told you, we've started a new restaurant called Tab. So that's my ongoing favorite for sure, because I love the food which has been curated and I believe in it. And inshallah, that should also pick up very soon.
One dish from Royal China and one dish from Tab.
So Royal China, whenever I go, there's one thing which I always eat is the egg fried rice. I think it's the best egg fried rice in the country, according to me. And when it comes to Tab, basically one favorite dish is there's this peri peri grilled chicken, which we're doing is really, really good.
Okay, I'll try that out.
Yeah.
One holiday place you regret going to?
One holiday place. I think every holiday you go to is always been an experience. So whether it's a good one or a bad one, it's an experience. So I have no regrets.
But one place you went and you did not enjoy that?
Never happened. I think I've enjoyed everywhere I've traveled.
Okay.
Yeah.
One thing you wish to change about engineering in India?
I would love to change the system. Like I've already discussed earlier, it's about the system. It's about making children do unnecessary things which are not required, rather than focusing on what is important and what is required. So if things could be eliminated from the entire books or the functionality, the process, I think it could become a little more interesting.
Okay, fair enough. Who's your inspiration?
So my inspiration,
or your role model, or you want to take, or as in personally, or you want to make Thakur cabins into, something like that.
I always get inspired from people who have really had nothing and had no background and have really made it in life. So basically the ground getters and somebody who started from scratch, and had no backing.
Right.
Probably never had great education, had no backing, and have basically been persistent and have really worked hard and have really scaled up in life, in whatever way, and whatever achievements they've achieved, is basically very, very inspiring for me. So I would probably say, for a few people which come to my mind is, one probably would be Shah Rukh Khan.
Okay.
Has nothing to do with engineering, but probably is backing a lot of companies, which have an engineering background today. But a very inspiring story from where to where. Another inspiring story, Narendra Modi, for me, again from where to where. And I think there are a lot of people like that, in our country or worldwide who have a story,
Right.
who have achieved way beyond imagination.
Yeah. Great answers. The weirdest cabin design someone has asked you to make.
It's not about the weirdest cabin design. It's about people wanting an Apple phone at the cost of a Nokia.
Okay.
So
Got
that
it.
is annoying.
I know what you mean.
You know what I mean? So that is annoying. It's not about a design, because I feel I can achieve anything a person wants to make.
Right.
Because I am building it from scratch. So I have the facility and the infrastructure to build whatever a client wants. So that's not the problem. The problem is somebody wanting to, not spend and wanting a Taj Mahal out of it.
Right.
So that is annoying.
Last one. If you were not an engineer, what would you be?
I think if I was not an engineer, if I basically knew this when I was 12 or 13 years old, I would probably be I would want to be a cricketer when I was 12 or 13 years old. But as time went by, and if you ask me this question at about 21, 22, for example, at that point, cricket was never an option. So maybe if not an engineer, maybe I would love to do something in movies.
Acting.
I don't know about acting, but I would love to be associated with something to do with movies. Probably, I don't know, probably write a script or probably direct or maybe act. I don't know. Probably something to do with movies. I would love to do something to do with movies.
You want to be on the sets.
I would love to be on set and I would love to do something with movies. Maybe futuristically, if I make a lot of more money, I'll probably produce. I don't know.
Inshallah, you'll do that.
Yeah.
Definitely. So, thank you so much, Mr. Thakur, for taking your time for this podcast. I mean, it was a very short, brief podcast, just a quick overview of what you have done.
Sure.
But we'll again have you soon and want to know more about your engineering stories. And I'm sure you have a lot of more stories to say because like your portable cabins and everything, and a lot more to know and learn from you. And hopefully we'll again have you soon on the podcast.
Thank you, man. I think it was good fun.
That's
probably my first live interview like that. It was good fun.
Yes, and hopefully again we'll meet soon.
100%.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Done. Liked it?
Superb.
Done.
What do you think?
I loved it. Perfect. This is like just a